Hi, Washoe County School District first grade teachers. My name is Susan Skinner, and I work on the K-5 mathematics team. And I wanted to support you with this first group assessment at the end of Unit 1. Now, some of you, this may be happening in the next couple of days. For others, it might be in a week or so, depending on where you're at in the pacing. But with all of the distance learning days that we've had, I've gotten a number of requests of how can this be done if our students are at home. And sure, I might have the materials at class, or in my classroom, but a number of the students are not going to have materials at home to do this assessment. So I want to show you a few ideas of some possibilities of how you can make this assessment happen during distance learning. So I'm going to open up, I'm on the Bridges Educator side, I'm just going to open up the teacher's guide, and I'm going to go to Unit 1, Module 4, and view the assessment directions that are right within the session. So I just clicked on the table of contents, I'm going to go right to Session 5, the Unit 1 group assessment, and it is quite small. I apologize for that. And I'm actually going to go ahead and get rid of my face. Okay, so that we can just talk about what we need to talk about. I'm turning the page and I'm going to enlarge this page so that you can see that the materials you'll need in your classroom to get ready and what would the students need if they were doing this in class. So you're going to need some 10-frame dot cards, 5 on top, 0 on the bottom, 5 and 3, 4 and 4, and 4 and 3. And then the students would need a numbers to 20 counting mat. They're going to need at least 12 game markers or Unifix cubes. They would need their number rack, a pencil, and then there is, I don't think this is listed here, one copy of Unit 1 Group Assessment Teacher Master for each student. Yes, that's item 3 of the assessment. And if I scroll down, I just want to remind those of you who are newer to first grade like I am, you want to make sure you read the directions for the assessment right within the session because the directions are there and it's important to know that because sometimes other programs are set up where you actually just pull out the assessment record sheet and you would read the directions there. No, it's important to find the directions right within the session. So first, you'll ask them to show some different ways to make 5 and then 10 on a number rack. Second, you're going to flash some 10-frame dot cards, the one that I showed you up above, and ask them to use game markers on a 10-frame mat. And then third, you would give them each a sheet with 4 different number lines and ask them to write in the missing numbers. But once again, how can we do this if our students are at home and do not have these materials? Well, I went ahead and I went to the Math Learning Center free apps site. And these can be accessed obviously by all of us teachers, but they can be accessed by students at home. And the 2 apps that I used to create assessment problems for this assessment, the first one is the Number Rack app, and I open it right within the web app. And the second one is the Number Frames app. And so I already have the problems ready to show you. And so I'm going to open up this first one. So the first assessment item is 1A, and it is where the students have to show you 2 ways to make 5 using the top and bottom rows on their number rack. Well, if they don't have number racks at home, this is one alternative. And so they would show you 2 ways. I covered up this bottom part because it's where they will do the second part. And so they would have to click on the X and show another way to make 5 using the top and bottom rows. And let's say, okay, I'm a first grader and I've done this. Now, you might be wondering, now wait a minute, how are my students going to get this problem? Well, right within Microsoft Teams, which I'm going to show you in a minute, I have listed the link that's at the top here. The link for this exact activity is available in Microsoft Teams. You just have to share that link with your students and it will open up. It's not going to open up like this. This is as if a student already altered it. It will open up the way it initially opened up when I opened it up. And so, but let's say I'm a student, my teacher modeled it and explained the direction during a Microsoft Teams meeting, and then later sent me the link. And now I have to do it as a part of my assignment for the day. Okay, I've created my 2 ways, 3 and 2 and 1 and 4. And now I want to share it with my teacher. I'm going to go down here to this share icon. I'm going to click here. And the cool thing is that it instantly creates a link that I myself, as a student, I could copy the link and I could share that back with my teacher. Now, that's very easy for older students, and it might not be possible for first graders unless they have parent help. So if that's not an option, that's okay. They could also write down this code, 39ER-7MBR. And then as the teacher, you would have to go back. You'd have to just access the Number Rack app. You'd open it up. And then you would go down here to this key icon and you would type in that code from your student. Now that is still quite a difficult way for the student to share. Oops, and that's actually the next one. So the third way, which I think is actually the most doable for young learners, would be to click Save Image. And when I click that, it actually creates a screenshot of exactly what I did. Isn't that fantastic? And then I can go here to the 3 dots and I can save it to my computer with my name. And this, they would probably need some help with a sibling, but they would save it to their computer and then they could send it to you. There's also this share icon and some other things that you might want to check out before you go over this with your student to see what you think would be the easiest way for them to share with you. And this is, like I say, one idea for the first item. And then 1B on the assessment is a very similar problem, but now they have to show a way to make 10 using the top and bottom rows. And then click on the X and show another way to make 10. Once again, when they're finished, this creates a link, a code, or they could click Save Image, save a picture to their computer, and they could send both images to you in an email. Now, the third, and it's actually item 2 on the assessment, is a number flashing dot cards, and then the students are supposed to match the dot card on a on a mat in class. Well, how can we do this at home? My initial thought was I created this problem, and I thought, okay, during a Microsoft Teams meeting, the teacher would flash the first one, which is 5 and 0. And I'm just going to do this quickly. I'm going to pull over 5 and it'll fill up the top. Whoops. Actually, oh, okay. I can move that one over. Most students would just pull over one at a time and things, and then the next one, I believe they have to show you 5 and 3 on the bottom and 4 on top, 4 on the bottom, and then 4 on the top and 3 on the bottom. So I initially thought, oh, this is another great idea, is they watch their teacher flash the 10 frame during a Microsoft Teams meeting, and then they fill it in. But then it dawned on me, oh no, this is going to be quite hard for some first graders, depending on what they've been exposed to. Watching their teacher on a Microsoft Teams meeting and also having this open could be too much. So all of these activities, and I will show you where in Microsoft Teams, I've already created these problems. They're available for you to use. But my other thought with this problem, which is problem 2A or item 2A on the assessment, is to actually, well, I have the assessment record sheet here. This is included in Microsoft Teams 2, and it's available in your teacher's binder, in your teacher's masters for Unit 1, Module 4. But the quick count checkpoint was an assessment earlier in the unit that you may or may not have given. But I thought, oh, wow, if students are at home during this assessment, you could send this PDF file, which I've also uploaded to Teams. And sure, you're not doing the quick count checkpoint this time, but you could do a couple practice problems where you flash a 10 frame and they have to copy it. And then I believe there's 5 opportunities here on the Unit 1 group assessment. There's only 4 prompts for you to give for 10 frames to flash. But they could, once again, they could print this paper out and they could, put their 5 dots and 0 on the bottom, and then they could do the rest. And they could submit this paper to you. This paper could be created as an assignment in Microsoft Teams. You could, attach it to whatever method you are sending these out to families. If they do not have a printer, at least this would give families a picture of what they need to draw for their child to then fill in. So it's just an idea. Also, really quick, let me hop over to this. This is item 3 of the assessment. It's an individual PDF now that Bridges has made available. And so you could also send this to families for them to fill out, or you could display it right during your Microsoft Teams meeting. And you could say, okay, boys and girls, here's our first number line. Go ahead and, read the numbers to yourself and then write down the 2 numbers that are missing on a piece of paper or on a slate. And then you go through the number lines. They write down the 2 missing numbers for each one. And then they either have to take a picture of their paper or their slate and return it back to you, or they could bring that paper back to you at school. Whatever method you are using would be fine. So I want to show you now, I'm just going to close all tabs. I want to show you now right within Teams how to find these resources. So if I go to the first grade teacher community and I'm going to math at the top, and then I go down to the tab distance learning resources. And we did recently just put some Unit 2 resources in, but you're going to go all the way down to the Unit 1 resources, and you're going to scroll all the way to the bottom because I just added these assessment resources at the bottom this evening in anticipation of possible assessment tomorrow for some classes throughout our district. Here's that quick count checkpoint. If you want to download that PDF, you just click and it'll go into your downloads folder, and then that can be sent to families to use. Like I say, we're past the quick count checkpoint, but you could use it for item 3 of this group assessment. Here is the group assessment record sheet that I already showed you, and then here are those links that take you directly to the problem. So all you need to do is send that link to your students, and I'll show you once again, just in case you don't believe me. It takes you right, even though I had altered this, it takes me right to the original problem, and every different child can create their own work and show you their answer, and then they click this share button to save an image or send a link back to you. And then, so here are the links that for those items that I created, if you're interested in those. And then also here is that PDF for item 3. So I am hoping that this was helpful for you, and please reach out if you need more support from the K-5 mathematics team. We are here to support you. Thanks so much.